I have many emerging thoughts on Civilization 7, and lots more to show you inside of this video. My full-on impressions will begin around the 17.5-minute mark. If you have any questions while you're watching, please do leave them below. I'll try and answer as many as I can. Let's get back to it. Welcome back to the stunning world of Civilization 7. Here's our capital city playing as Catherine the Great, leading the Roman Empire. The capital city, of course, Roma, up here in the Arctic. We were forward settled like there's absolutely no tomorrow. We'll probably deal with that at some point in this video. And if I zoom out a little bit, you can get a feel for what the world looks like during Civilization 7's Antiquity Age. Of course, there's probably quite a bit more here to explore. However, it is important to note that the world expands through each age. So this is the smallest, I believe, that the world will ever be at this current time. You might also remember from last time that I picked up this friend down here, Mesa Verde, who we're farming for units using our influence yield, which seems pretty reasonable to me. I think we'll carry on with that until they literally have no more warriors left. Seems like a good idea. As I bring my troops up towards probably the capital to try and protect the homeland, I should also probably have a look at diplomacy again. Not just the relationship here, kinds of things that are being impacted. You might want to have a look at these screens, just out of curiosity, so I'll show you those two while we're here. I might denounce their military presence. They're very close to me. I'm going to do that. I'm not going to request open borders. Maybe I should also play around a little bit with sanctions or espionage. And now that I have a little bit of a military presence here, 1, 2, 3 fortified on the border, that should teach them a little bit of a lesson. Though we are trading as well, and that did, at least for a time, improve our relationship. For a time. And I'm tempted to get some wonders as well. What do we have here? The Great Steel. 200 gold when you construct a wonder in the settlement. Okay. Or the Hanging Gardens. Usually always good. 10% growth rate in cities. Yeah. Yeah. +1 food on farms inside of this settlement as well. Maybe I queue that up. I'd like to build at least one wonder in this video. Must be placed to a river. 10% growth in cities. Okay, so it's actually just must be placed next to a river. Why can it do it here then? Oh! Oh, I'm stupid. It's this. Okay, good. Here on turn 69. Nice. I have two things actually to celebrate. The first one is literally a celebration. Food or production toward buildings. 30% is quite a bit. Food's great for growth though, and looking at these kind of jank UI numbers down here, I think it's going to take me a while. 20% on top of my measly food production though? Maybe it's not worth it. Let's do the buildings. Let's also get 50% production toward culture buildings because I'm getting a monument online. Very good. I think we'll send a legion down this way just to keep an extra unit defending Ravenna because when war happens, this passage is probably going to be pretty hot. As you can see, my Roman neighbor, the die is cast. Oh, don't. Ugh. Okay. And just as I talk about it, it looks like war has been declared. Well, at least we'll get to take a look at warfare. Let's jump in and see what is going on. War of the Tundra. Right. And I can spend 60 influence to support myself, which will impact happiness and combat strength. Currently, there's a +5 toward me anyway. Okay. I mean, I'll take that. That's what happens when you forward settle and then declare a war for no reason, I suppose. I get a little bit of an upper hand advantage. Ooh boy. We need to try and take out some of these Roman units. I've got this completely pinned off thanks to the mountains. This way we have my... I shouldn't say Roman, because I have a Roman unit. I should probably use his name, right? Augustus. We have Augustus's units blocked off that way. Actually sort of blocked off everywhere thanks to that unit being pinned in. Ay caramba. Oh, and just to carry on, 1 cultural attribute point for meeting all civilizations. Or I can just take an archer in Roma. Oh man, the attribute point is better, but I've just had war declared on me, and I don't have ranged units, so I think I take the archer here, bring it in behind this legion, try and cut off any reinforcements that are making their way through this way, or potentially threatening Ravenna, which is actually ready to produce something, and seeing as it's got a little bit of time, it might get an archer to defend its wall-less self. Here we have a unit crossing through a navigable river, and me ready to fight, I think. It's a major victory. It's a really major victory against that slinger. Hell yeah. Promotion available for the commander. Let's do that too while we're here. What have we got? 2 combat strength for land units while defending. Units can move after unpacking. Very good. Gold for each unit. Production towards land units when stationed. The unit has 1 movement and ignores terrain penalties while packed, or 5% yields when settled. Right, so these ones are good commanders for cities, and these ones are good commanders for fighting. I think I'm going to be going on the aggressive, though it might not hurt to get a little bit of a defensive one, just so that I can soldier some hits on my way in. Either way, I think. Assault, defend, assault, defend. I'll take the initiative assault upgrade. That will let me pack and unpack. Thank you very much indeed. Improving our movement a little bit, and actually, I might be able to use that right now. If I stomp my way over here, I could unpack and hoover up that tile. It's probably not needed though, because the opponent doesn't have a lot of land units, and they can't really get around to deploy up here. So perhaps I stay packed? I don't know. Eventually I'll need to unpack. Stuff it, let's go. Yeah! There we have it! Let's stomp in there and get that unit cleared out the way this turn, so we can march right up against the city. We'll get these units out of the ocean, because they obviously don't need to be there. Moving around those rough rocks by the looks. Actually a little bit of a bottleneck, really, isn't it? I think we're going to just go on the aggressive. Stuff it. That's a ranged unit. Let's get in there. 71 damage from the Roman Legion, everybody. That's what I'm talking about. Thank you very much. Jump into the sea. That seems a little bit mad. Let's see what happens to that unit. Does the AI shoot at it? No. They've gone for the commander and they've dealt 45, which is actually a lot. My understanding of the commanders is that they will keep their strength for the most part. We can do a coordinated attack on the city with everybody around here. Oh boy. That seems really good. I might just clear out that unit. Here's a fight at sea, which can't happen. And they've also blocked me from moving because of the ocean limits, of course. I can't basically go into the open ocean in this age at all. So I'm going to have to stay back, defend, reposition myself a little bit here, just to try and get into some tiles where I can actually fight, maybe swap out the weak units for the healthy one. I'm a little bit worried that my commander's just going to perish here, too. Because the damage that city can do seems to be tremendous. Let's see. Are they going to snipe me in 2 turns? The ultimate fail? Oh, they just about did. Okay, we retreat out of there and count ourselves very lucky indeed. You can mosey on in there and maybe try and fight, hold off that commander, deal a great amount of damage while you're at it. The slinger, probably in range, and should have been slinging for quite a while, like that one that I just put in there, probably. Archers ready, chuck him in that city, maybe we can snipe at some of these poor units that are trying to hide in the river. You can sail, but you can't hide! This one's on fire. There's a massive blizzard taking place over my poor slinger up here, who was going to fight at that city, but has seen an opportunity here to take out a unit in the sea. So it's absolutely going to do that. This guy's really struggling, so let's swap him out. We'll sneak our way into that tile. Use the aforementioned archer to... Oh my goodness. Oh, what a snipe. It's over. It's over. Something that I haven't done very well, and now that my commander is weak I might not be able to, is to try and keep it near the fight, so that it can gain experience from units that are attacking. Like that slinger. See, there he goes, +4 experience. I should be trying to do that as much as I possibly can. And now he's finished. What on earth was that? What? A significant blizzard. 5 tiles damage, 5 population lost, 2 units destroyed, and 10 tiles gained fertility. Far out! I mean... Sheesh. That is absolutely brutal. Take note, everybody. Disasters are not messing around in Civilization 7. Goodness me. I'll probably jump them ahead in the queue. Nice to see a queue that works naturally and instinctively built into the game here, by the way. Very happy to see that. And my Legion dying, thankfully, has given me a little bit of a benefit here. Maybe. An event. 300 happiness, but minus 25 gold. 150 culture and activate determined ability. Plus 2 combat strength on all units. Huh. That seems really good. Right? Yes. Wow. Sheesh. Okay, these guys are taking an absolute beating here, though, because they are exposed to a city that's just pummeling them left, right, and center. They deal such extraordinary damage to a ranged unit, though. I have to take advantage of it just to take this down. It will prevent future commanders who I'll train or who will respawn from being sniped out of into oblivion as well, which is also a good thing. Alrighty, turn 76, and we are closing in on the enemy. I'm just gonna struggle to get a melee unit close enough to take it. I think if I run this warrior in, it will act as a distraction. And then after the warrior, the Legion here will sneak in and capture the now completely defenseless, effectively, city. And much success will be had. Sure, let's see. They're trying to get their units up. It's not going to happen in time. Oh, that unit didn't even perish. Okay. Great news for me all round. No commander here to gain some experience from this, which is a great shame, but let's volley it with 1 extra sling from the slinger. Just deal some extra damage maybe with this archer as well, just for good measure, and then send that warrior in. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Now, we have 2 options. Keep the settlement or raise it. Settlement will not generate yield. Opponents in all current and future wars gain 1 bonus war support against you for raising. Interesting. I'm really incentivized to raise this because it's such a thorn in my side. If it were gone, 1, 2, 3, I wouldn't quite be able to get the jade, that jade, or those dies, but I would be able to get that one. It just seems too close. I don't know. I'll keep it. I'll keep it. It'll be a town. We can make it a special town. Send the resources into Roma. It's iffy, but I'll do it. Yeah, I'll do it. What have we got here? Military aid. Oh, both leaders gain 3 combat strength. Other leaders' units get +2 combat strength, but I get gold per turn or ruin it. And because I'm limited on influence, I kind of have to just ruin it or take the money. I'll take the money, I think. Keep my influence and take the money. That's tricky, and goes to highlight the significance, I believe, of influence. Oh, and here we go. Flashing through a turn, we have the peace deal interface, which I don't think we've seen anywhere yet. Any live streams, any dev diaries, anything. Peace deal to end the war. Right. Oh, and I can't go out to the map without just rejecting it. Alright, fine, rejected. This turn, though, I think it's time that we move into more of an aggressive position. I want multiple units in range of the city so that it can't just shoot all of them. It has to make some sort of trade-off. The warriors are probably starting to run out of their usefulness as well. Could potentially be sent into the fight. Multiple units, of course, can be sent in to the same fight there. Look at that. Fighting on multiple fronts. I don't have the flanking bonus unlocked yet, though, unfortunately. However, should be enough strength to, yeah, at least scare them off. Very good. That archer took far too much damage. Get out of there. Mesa Verde has a spearman for me to levy with my 120 influence. So we'll use their technological superiority to bring this nice looking unit into the fight as well. Also, it looks like I'm being attacked up at Pompeii and I had no idea. Oh, very good. No, absolutely not. Okay, well, I think a natural disaster saved me there. Oh man. Thank you. That's some sort of divine intervention to make up for my ineptitude. And finally, on turn 92, the ballista is ready. Here it is. Set up, in range. Bam. 13. How much do you do? Enough. Minus 26 to their defenses. Let's take Geb 2 as well. That should put the pressure on, hey? There we go. Pax Imperatoria progress as well. I'm taking the settlement. Great. Thank you, thank you, thank you. My cap has increased. I'm now at 6, so I can keep that one. Incorporate that within the empire. Got a nice little growing empire here now. Wonderful stuff, as well as a couple of extra resources.
May the might of the Lord cause
and here we have the construction of our first, not quite the wonder we planned, but our first wonder nonetheless. I had to opt to the Great Steel instead of my first choice, but that's okay. It's nice to see the wonder animations return with glory, it's got to be said. They look fantastic.
Perfection is
wonderful. And there it is. In all of its glory in our capital city of Roma. Sheesh. Starting to get some reasonable adjacency bonuses here too. Hello, beautiful. So we can punish this warmonger by proposing a peace, taking that, he will accept. That will give me more progress towards my military conquest of this age. How about it? Made it to the second stage. Very good indeed. He wills it. We both do, buddy. Look how happy we are. We're stoked. Great. Ooh, and a civilization unlocked. Have 3 settlements with at least 3 navigable river tiles each. So I could now, if I choose to, play as the Songhai next age. Speaking of that next stage, welcome to the next stage of the video. That's right, I'm joining you now in the editing room, providing some commentary over what will be a selection of faster clips. I will talk to them a little bit, but also I'll be talking to some broader ideas and impressions on Civilization 7, so let's not muck about. Firstly, on balance, what is my early view? I think it's a very good game. I think that Civilization 7 won't launch with perfection. That would be unreasonable, and I don't think that'll happen. But I really like the look and feel of this new Civ experience. That being said, there are some things that you've talked about in the comments and that I broadly agree with could be a little bit problematic or perhaps need to change. And there are loads of changes in this game. It's, to be fair, you know, I've got to acknowledge credit where credit is due. I mean, we're looking at one right now. The crisis as I head through into what was just a diabolical happiness nightmare. And you'll see the outcome of that, the revolts and the ultimate revolutions as we move through these clips. One of the most common discussed points probably has to be the UI, commonly discussed, and we've talked about it before. Generally, I agree. It is simple. I actually quite like simple. Some parts of it, though, could use a glow-up. Detail, less areas, or more color, or I don't know what it is, but something about some of the spots do need to change. Some areas, though, I like a lot. Like as you move through and unlock civilizations. And I like the broad approach to simplifying things where possible. The policy cards easier to read. Workers removed in favor of a different settlement upgrade system. Speaking of which, the cities and towns mechanic feels good to use. Here you can see I'm using my unique Roman commander with its unique ability to establish a town. Something I probably should have done a little bit earlier in this, what's turned into a 2-part video series, but nonetheless, look, I'm there and I'm doing it. And it's a system that feels good to engage with. Districts and adjacencies, as well as specialists like I was just working with there, are also pretty interesting. Adding 2 buildings to 1 tile to create a quarter, sometimes unique quarters, is pretty fun. I feel like maybe there's some improvement that could be made around the UI, how it displays those adjacencies. Makes things a little bit easier, perhaps, highlights it more, maybe using colors or something on the map, as well as that text that has shifted to the left-hand side of the screen. A little bit of an adjustment there too, I would say. Speaking of adjustments, actually, it brings me to another very broadly canvas point. I love that UI. That is nice. Very satisfying to use. The unlocking of the civs is very satisfying. And the broader point, though, is about that change. Lots of change. Is the game, therefore, difficult to play? Or difficult to pick up? Difficult to understand? There's absolutely going to be a learning curve here, I think. In my early view is that most of it is fairly intuitive. The game's tutorials seem fairly comprehensive. However, there is a lot of complexity under the hood, and a lot of different branching paths that you can take here as well. And that will fuel even more complexity. There'll be a game where you might level up a leader in one age, really militaristic, and then you might play with them again and go down a completely different path, different attributes, different civilizations. It's a lot more, I feel, than in any other previous Civ title. Is it going to be impossible to play? No, absolutely not. And don't worry, I'm always going to be here to help. Subscribe, hoi, hoi, hoi. No, but actually, back to the serious point. I think it's playable. I think it's workable. I think it's broadly fun and shouldn't be too difficult, obviously, for Civ fans to pick up. You guys, don't worry. You'll pick it up easy enough. And even newer players should settle in broadly okay. However, again, not to repeat myself too much, but it is early days. Here in the footage, by the way, I'm moving through, of course, into the new age. You will have seen the progress screens. The AI did an alright job, except for the AI that I was fighting against. And I'm trying to select my civilization for the next age, the exploration age. 2 of 3, of course, and under the limits of the current embargo, I can't show you that final age, the modern age. That's why there's no footage of that here. And this video is approximately just slightly less than 30 minutes long, because I am, just again as a gentle reminder, limited to only showing you 60 minutes worth of footage. And this video will basically bring me to the end of those 60 minutes. And I think that that's a real shame, because the ages, actually, surprisingly, early on, one of my favorite changes to the game. Right up there, I think, in my top 3. Even removing some of the interconnected elements, like choosing my legacies here, which also feels great to be rewarded specifically for what you've done, to be given clear rewards that are also somewhat balanced around the kind of effort you had to put in. These things won't be available to every player. They're available to me, the PAX Golden Age, for example, because of my militarism, and I like that a lot. I also think, strangely, and I don't want to get too ahead of myself here, but as I play through the ages, I find that that excitement from what would have traditionally been buried for me within the first 50 turns, maybe up to 100 turns of a Civ game, is now actually a lot more evenly distributed across the whole game, but more importantly, really peaks at the beginning of a new age. Not so much at the end during the crisis, but definitely at the start of a new one. I love the start of a new age. It's like the start of a new Civ game, but of course not, because it has those interconnected elements that I was talking about just before. And you have that sense of exploration as the map opens up, your technologies open up, and they're really clearly, quite often, ring-fenced behind those ages, like the seas here, as you see me now finally reach out toward the open sea and start to find the goody huts or the shipwrecks, and of course those juicy distant lands that the exploration age largely hinges on. That, and of course the new mechanics like religion, among other things. As we move towards Civilization 7's launch then, there are quite a few things to expect. Firstly, might be a little bit quieter around here than normal, which might not do my 100k subscribers by Civ 7 day goal a lot of good, but we're making good progress. Thank you for being here, and thank you for subscribing. Back to Civilization 7 though, performance will matter at this launch. We've seen big games fail, not necessarily because they are bad, although they absolutely may have been, but because they just don't work. People can't play them. It's really important that that works. The game runs very well, in fact, on my system. It does work very well. but my system is fairly high-end. It's made to play and record these games and make videos on them, right? So it's really difficult for me to say what it would look like on a low-end system, a crap top, something like that. I don't know, and I've not been able to test it outside of this specifically PC build. I could test it on Mac or a console, but those builds are not available to me. That being said, the build works pretty well on PC. It does work fairly well, and it seems to be a launch build. Or at least, you know, something very close to it. I don't know what their plans are. There are probably going to be more patches. They've clearly acknowledged that they'll continue to update and support the game after its launch, which is a whole separate can of worms that I am not going to open just yet. Back to the game. The next embargo is around February 5, which is a couple of weeks away. As I mentioned, things will be quiet here, but when that embargo lifts, you should expect a more comprehensive look, review of Civilization 7. They call that embargo, in fact, the review embargo. And that one will allow me, obviously, as it's a review embargo, as you can imagine, to just go ham. The game is just about to release in early access at that point for everybody anyway, and I'll have a lot to say after hopefully, fingers crossed, picking up quite a lot more playing time. I think it's just slightly too early to give any definitive opinions or guides or anything like that. Civilization 7 is a complex beast, and I need to spend more time with it before I can give you any kind of overarching view. Obviously, I'm not going to tell you whether you should buy a game or not, because that is entirely up to you. And I don't really have any skin in the game. I do, however, have skin in the game as to whether you are interested in watching Civilization 7 or not, and more importantly, what you'd like to see. I'm thinking gameplay videos, live streams, tutorials, guides, more analytical stuff. God help me, maybe all of it. It's going to be a busy few months, because the truth is, honestly, I think I'm going to be playing a lot of Civilization 7, and Civ 7 is going to be taking a lot of my time from me. Thank you very much for joining me today. Thank you for being here. See you next time.